Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope everybody's Friday has been a good day so far and is looking forward to a good weekend. Today's been busy for me, but I'm glad to sit down and be able to talk with you guys and talk about some of the things that have been going on in the YouTube world. I only was able to get out really one video this week, and I apologize that there wasn't more content. Next week will be better. But I felt it was necessary to go ahead and get that video out because I had been wanting to get it out for a couple of weeks. And it's something that I think we could talk about in the recap. There's also some other stuff that's gone on with different stuff going on with like the lawsuit with Katie and the Onision documentary and all of that. So we can talk about that. And really, I've been around and watching stuff. I just haven't had much of an opportunity to do a lot of filming this week. So although stuff has been going on and I haven't had videos, I still kind of have a stance on it. There were a few people who left some comments about some things. So if they join the conversation today and they want to ask about those things and my views on that, we can do that as well. As always, these not only are about the content that I've put out, but also just what you guys have seen. And if I have an opinion and I've seen it, I'll talk about it as well. But I'm going to go ahead and start saying hi to everybody who is here. I appreciate you guys for popping in. Hey, Claire. Hey, Jean. Hey, the Dark Magician. I paused to make sure I said it right. Hey, Gidget. Hey, Sue. Hey, World Puzzler. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Melissa. How are you guys doing? I hope everybody has had a good day and is wrapping up their week. I'm glad this week is over. Hopefully next week will be a lot better. One can always hope, right? Going into the weekend, I do have a couple of plans, so it's always exciting when you have stuff planned, because sometimes, most of the time for me anyways, we don't have plans. We're very much last minute, just do things as we want. We don't really do a lot of planning, so it's exciting that I actually have plans this weekend. Hey, Tutu Queen. Hey, Hooked on Phonics works for me. Hey, Kazoodles. Hey, E. My husband is doing a lot better. Thank you for asking. But that is a lot of why I didn't have any content out from, I kind of opened up to you guys on Monday what was going on. And I don't want to drag down today. I kind of want to stay on the weekly recap stuff. But I appreciate you asking. He's doing much better. My plans for the weekend, I have a sister-in-law who lives a day's drive from me, and we are going to celebrate my birthday late because she has the time off. And it'll be nice because we haven't seen her since December, since Christmas, and she used to live with us for about 1.5 years. So it'll be nice to spend some time with her and, you know, do some late birthday celebrating. It'll be fun. Oh no, it's going to rain where you're at for the whole holiday weekend. Well, you can do stuff indoors. You know, you can always make the best of it. So I guess to go ahead and start the weekly recap, I will talk about the one video that I was able to get out. If you haven't watched it and you're behind, I'll recap, and I'm going to go ahead and put a trigger warning while we talk about the story because it can be triggering to some, talking about maltreatment and things coming of maltreatment of children. So I was actually alerted to this by one of you guys, sent me a DM with a video from the news channel that I linked in that video, just saying, hey, did you know about this? And it was a story that actually was big news 2 years ago. It was covered by clearly actual media, as well as a lot of YouTubers did cover it when it happened. And that was the case of Michelle Hobson is her name. She ran a channel called Fantastic Adventures, where she was a family vlogging channel, and she had 7 kids that she had adopted, and she had 3 biological children that were adults. And on camera, you didn't see anything concerning. However, behind the scenes, this woman was severely punishing and mistreating these 7 children. And a lot of their punishment would come from them not acting or getting their lines right or whatever in their videos. And I didn't go into detail on the video, and I'm not really going to go into detail in the live about what kind of things were done to these children. If you're interested and it's something that you're not going to be triggered by, the links are in that video, and you can go watch everything that I linked, because even Philip DeFranco in his coverage of it 2 years ago, he actually talks about the allegations. And she was charged. She was arrested, as well as her 2 adult sons, who also were like co-conspirators. They were also helping film the videos for the channel. And she was at a facility, like an assisted living facility. She wasn't incarcerated when she passed, but she did pass due to natural causes from everything I have seen. But it brings the larger question for me, and I just wanted to address it. Like, this is situations like that are why people have problems with family channels. Because if you are going to feel comfortable putting on your channel your children saying they don't want to be involved or that they're uncomfortable, what kind of things are you forcing them to do when you're not on camera? And I've always kind of had the caveat when I talk about family channels that we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And in that particular scenario with that channel, it was disgusting. And the agencies, CPS, law enforcement, they all failed those children for years. There were 11 reports over a span of, I think, 3 years that were all unfounded. And even the last time CPS had been involved, it was also unfounded. But law enforcement did what they should have done and what CPS should have also done. And they actually opened an investigation and were able to find enough evidence to support what these children were saying, not only based off of their word, but also there was physical evidence to support what these children were saying, which law enforcement needs to. Law enforcement and CPS operate similarly but differently. CPS can get involved without any actual evidence. If you're wanting criminal charges and law enforcement to be involved, they actually have to have evidence. And I commend the law enforcement officers who actually followed through and found the evidence and was able to criminally charge her. And her charges that she had for everything she did are absolutely disgusting. These children experienced so much maltreatment and different forms of maltreatment. It is beyond disgusting. And I thought it would be important to open the conversation. I know a lot of times when I talk about my work with CPS and I talk about my perception of CPS, I get a lot of pushback because people have had bad experiences. And I think at times, because I'm trying to break the stigma of CPS, I don't often acknowledge the fact that there is corruption and there is workers who don't work to the highest accountability, so to speak. Personally, I would like to say I didn't operate under that kind of work, and my unit wasn't. We were held to extremely high standards. So my experience with the agency is different, but I am aware that not every worker is the same. There is corruption in almost every agency. And I just felt that it was important to make sure I acknowledged that and identified that in the video. I also just wanted to pose the question, like, family vlogging, there is so much controversy around it. And for situations like what happened with that channel is why people have concerns with family vlogging. By no means do I think family vlogging is going to go anywhere. But I do hope that as these family channels continue to traumatize these children, that YouTube will start to put in place some actual terms of service, some actual rules, restrict parents from exploiting their children for their channels. Do I think that's possible? Because that's a question that's in a lot of the comments. I do think it's possible for laws to be passed and for policies to be put in place on YouTube. However, I personally don't feel that that is going to happen anytime soon. And that's just the unfortunate reality of the YouTube world. We have so many problematic people on this platform. And family channels bring YouTube a ton of money. It is going to take something serious and almost life-threatening, I feel, for YouTube to actually put in place any standards and put in place any kind of restrictions for the kids on the channels. I don't know why my throat is so dry. So I just wanted to kind of get the chunk of that out. I'm going to see what you guys are saying. Yeah, I definitely read your comment, Hooked on Phonics, and I'm so sorry that you are dealing with that. Lately, for like the past 2 weeks, while I've been getting my business up and running and really focusing more on that, I am reading everybody's comments and hearting them so you guys are aware that I've read them. But I will openly admit that I have not been very good about actually responding. I'm hoping that as things start to settle down and I get into a good routine, I can get back to being more engaged with you guys in the comment sections. Hey, Sue. Good to see you. Hey, Advent. I don't know if family vloggers fall under the COPA. Family channels creep a lot of people out, to be 100% honest. Yeah, I understand you not sticking out for this one. I don't think the conversation is going to continue unless there's some comments about it. But if you don't want to stick around, I definitely understand that. Nobody needs to... I never want somebody to watch a live or a video if you know it's going to trigger you or upset you in any way. I understand some of the things I talk about, whether it's in a live stream or a video, sometimes are extremely hard for people to digest, especially depending on what you're experiencing and dealing with in your personal life. So never feel, it doesn't hurt my feelings if you can't participate. I understand that. So I hope you have a good rest of your Friday and an amazing weekend. And I hope you are able to continue working through the grieving process. If you ever need anything, you're welcome to reach out to me. Hey, Miss Cassandra, how are you? You wouldn't think they should, but YouTube loves money. Exactly. And I know people feel differently. I don't think that all family channels are inherently bad. I always question, the consent issue, which I think is what a lot of people get hung up on. But that goes into the same caveat is a video could be filmed over a couple of days, a couple of weeks. We never know, unless it's blatantly obvious. We never know really how much time they're putting on their children. But you can still have the same argument where if the child doesn't want to be filmed and the parents are forcing them to film or talk about things that they don't want to talk about, they're crossing a line. Hey, Dottie, how are you? Sorry, I'm trying to scoot back on my chair. I'm sitting on the edge of it. So family channels are just controversial, but having that story sent to me really, although I've talked about specific situations that have occurred on this platform with different channels and how they're behaving and reacting to things and situations that they're putting children in. At the end of the day, it's always a question for me is, are they overworking their children? To me, at the end of the day, to be 100% honest with you guys, I think anybody who is a family channel, if you have your children on camera, you're exploiting your children. That's what I feel. That's my personal stance on it, my personal opinion on it. Your son likes to play with your green screen, but you wouldn't put him online. And I understand, because of the generation now being so ingrained with technology, it is easy for children to access platforms like TikTok. TikTok was pretty much made, it's a platform that I feel was made and geared towards the younger generation. I've made a video a while ago talking about the concerns that I have with influencers, like people on YouTube and on TikTok, and their age, and when it's okay or when should it be okay that they're allowed to have platforms. And it's just it's a circular argument for me. Like, I can argue some of the benefits for it, but I can also argue a lot of the concerns and problems that I can see coming up with young people being on a platform of any kind, especially in today's stage when there is so much cyberbullying that happens, so many creepy people who have access to the internet, people with bad intentions. And if your children are too young to really understand, they may catch themselves in precarious situations and be afraid to tell their parents, or be unaware something is going on and their parents aren't even aware. Hey, Ninja Girl. There's so much law that needs to still be written regarding the online world. I 100% agree with that. You suspect that we'll see laws protecting the privacy of children online. I hope so, and I hope it comes sooner rather than later, because again, like, children now are growing up in the world of technology, the world of internet. It may not be as far off as we think, given that European countries are starting to pass laws. Hopefully, I mean, it really is a hope that I think a lot of people have who have concerns about children being on camera. I didn't know Europe was already passing laws either. I mean, I believe it though, because some countries operate a little bit ahead of the ball, and other countries are reactionary, and it takes longer for things to be put into stream. So, I mean, there's that. That was the only video other than our Monday night live. That's the only video I put out today. But other stuff that I didn't have content on was, I'm not going to get too much into the details of the Onision stuff, because it's a slippery slope and it's a rabbit hole. But a couple of creators had some guest appearances on the last one. I haven't seen the series on Onision. I'm not going to pay money just to watch YouTube drama kind of play out on a TV network. There's been plenty of people, creators, commentary people who have watched it and then recapped and let us know kind of what was involved in each episode, which I appreciate those channels. And I'm sure other individuals like me who didn't want to pay for it were able to kind of get the gist of what was going on. Xylee, I don't know if she's still on live, but she was doing a live stream summing up the last episode. And she said, if you have any interest in it, that's the episode that really has any value to it. So there's going to be there's going to be a lot of videos coming out about what was all said and done in that, which I think is, I don't know, I think it's a good thing, just because I appreciate the fact that the whole situation kind of is seen by more people than just YouTube people, because not everybody engages with YouTube. Like my mom she didn't even have YouTube downloaded until I started my channel. And she only started watching YouTube because of my channel. And now she does watch YouTube for other stuff, but she probably never would have downloaded the app and been a participant if I hadn't created my channel. So it's like one of those things that not everybody watches YouTube content. Hey Linda, children need fresh air, much outdoor play and interaction with others for healthy lives. Yeah. I mean, a balanced life is best. You're good not watching YouTube drama on TV. Yeah, I can understand that. The stuff with him just goes so deep because it's been an ongoing thing for 10 plus years now. I mean, he's been engaging in all of this stuff for years, and it's just finally gotten to a boiling point where it's started to get picked up by mainstream media. Sometimes you wish you never discovered YouTube. Your 39-year-old daughter watches YouTube when you send her links to watch. So do you mean that she doesn't watch YouTube unless you send her a link to something that you want her to watch? Otherwise, she doesn't really engage in the platform. I mean, the reality is yeah, there are millions clearly of people who do watch YouTube, but there's also a whole lot of people who don't in the world. Welcome to the dark side. Hey, Cheryl. It's a scary world. We don't want too many eyes on our children. Yeah, I wish there was like ways that people could, and I know that this is reaching and probably information that we're not necessarily like entitled to, but I wish that channels people who do family channels, that they would, acknowledge people's concerns. Because I've never really have seen a lot of family channels acknowledge the concerns that so many people have about family channels and family blogging. I think it would be something different if a family channel would discuss like how they do their filming with their children, if they force their children to film and things like that. And I think most family channels aren't going to want to be open with that because they're going to receive backlash either one way or another. She isn't into it. She listens to podcasts. Yeah, I mean, I can understand. It really just depends on what you find entertaining and leisurely. Some people prefer to listen to stuff on Spotify because it's stuff on Spotify you can have podcasts that are about drama and things happening with celebrities, or podcasts about any area that you're interested in. Just like you can find stuff on YouTube on different topics. It's the same with podcast style apps. How can we know if the kids are being forced? Yeah, that's a question that we will never know. What bothers me about and gives me the feeling that some channels do force their children is when you have children who are vocal in the videos, who will say, I don't want to be filmed. I don't want this to be filmed. And the parents film it anyways. And what's interesting to me when that happens is some of these channels will include that conversation. And then it's like you're opening that up for people to criticize you because your child is openly saying in this video they don't want it to be filmed, but you're ignoring that and you're filming them anyways and forcing them to do this. And then you go ahead and edit it and, keep that part of the conversation in. Like, to some point, I think it's a little bit of transparency, but another point, it makes me question their parenting. Like, you have a teenager who says they don't want to talk and they don't want to do this particular video, or you can clearly see in some cases when it comes to like teenagers and puberty and doing things and channels doing weird stuff around their child's, growing up. And you can clearly tell, and the children are not comfortable. The teenagers aren't comfortable. There was, I made a video about it when I was like a new channel about the 8 passengers and all of the drama going on with them like last year. And one of the things that I talked about is in the video, one of the videos that they got a lot of pushback from, which most of those videos aren't up anymore because the family put out cease and desist on a lot of channels who were talking about them and giving them criticism, was when all of that drama was happening for her teenage son. When she sat down with him, he said that as a result of the YouTube channel, he didn't have friends. And the mom just laughed it off. Like, that was really concerning. And I talked about that quite a bit in that video, that like clearly he didn't want, he even says, I think in that clip, that he didn't want things to be filmed that were filmed. And for him to say in a video that he doesn't have friends anymore because of the YouTube channel, like, as a parent, why would you continue? My question is, why would you continue to subject them to not having as much of a quote unquote normal teenage life because of your channel at the end of the day? Like, that makes no sense to me. You're putting your money and your own selfishness ahead of your child and potential lifelong issues that you could be having your child foster, which will later either develop into mental health concerns or defiant behavior, which was a part of this video, was that he had been defiant. And to me, I can't help but question, was he being defiant because of the channel, because of how he was feeling about the channel, and because of things that they were almost forcing him to do, that he was acting out because of that? I mean, that's just how my brain like starts to go down a rabbit hole of questions. Your other issue is they put the money back for the kids? Kids shouldn't be forced to film. Some families do talk about like the money that they'll save for the kids, and other channels will say that the children don't get any of the money. I mean, the 8 Passengers is one of the channels that has said, and a year ago was getting some controversy about saying that they don't pay their children and that they have to work for the money, and that they have to get an allowance and things like that. But it was almost the way that conversation happened and how it was being reported on was they don't hold any of the money. And I don't know if that meant like they don't have savings accounts for them or anything. I'm not sure. And that's where I hope YouTube and laws get passed, where if they're falling within appropriate guidelines, like for child actors, that the money aspect will also be addressed. Because most of these channels are only successful because of their kids. And I know Josh from the Dad Challenge podcast, I think about a year ago, maybe a little bit less than that, he made a couple of videos going into people's analytics, like YouTube family channels analytics, and looking at the kind of viewers and stuff that they were getting. And it was quite disturbing what he kind of unveiled. And I'm not sure where, I know there was controversy about where he pulled the analytics from. And even if they're not 100% accurate where you're pulling analytics from, they're not going to be like totally off to where you can't come to a solid conclusion and have that conversation. Hey, Yoo-hoo, good to see you. Your grandchildren showed you YouTube. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of, I think that's a pretty regular theme now, where the younger generation is kind of introducing some of these platforms to their parents and their grandparents and even great-grandparents. Like, they're people who maybe wouldn't be engaged with some of these platforms are only engaged with them because they're being introduced to it, whether it's by their children or their grandchildren or niece or nephew, just somebody younger in their family or somebody younger that's a family friend. I have not seen Allison Stoner's video yet. There's been a lot of childhood actors and actresses who have come out over the last few years really discussing what life is like as a child actor or actress. I mean, we see it play out. They oftentimes are introduced to things that are things that they can't really understand or can't really comprehend, like being introduced to drugs, being introduced to alcohol, ending up becoming dependent on those things because they don't know any different, and their brain can't decipher what's right and wrong at certain ages, and they don't know any different. They don't understand peer pressure. They don't understand that they can say no. They feel that they have to continue to be successful. We see it with childhood actors who are now who were young actors when I was growing up, like the Olsen twins. What's another one? Amanda Bynes, Britney Spears. I mean, we see how without laws being into place, how it can affect them in their adult life and things that they end up struggling with because laws and stuff were not put into place until while they were already in the thralls of it, in the thick of it, so to speak. YouTube Studio isn't even correct. I can probably agree with that. You're okay with very few channels that are literally just kids going to the park or theme parks, or the ones where the teens do their own themed funny videos. You've never followed actual vloggers. I think it just, for me, it falls on the question of, is it being done by the teenagers because they want to do it, or is it being done with the guys behind it? Like, it kind of brings me to the Little Tay situation where she amassed a ton of followers for being outlandish and outrully, but it wasn't anything that she was doing on her own accord. It was all manufactured and put on her and stressed on her and her coach to behave and act that way by a family member. And those are situations that I really wish family channels who get pushback would understand why people have concerns with the kinds of channels that they run. I'm not really familiar with the Shirley Temple story. Yeah, and that's an issue, Melissa, that a lot of people have, is the issue of being able to actually consent. Because when you have children who really don't know what consent is, and they just think, like a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old will think it's probably cool and a nice lifestyle to live, to think, oh, all of these people like me, I can get on film and do these crazy little dances or whatever, and, crack these jokes, do live life normally, and end up having all these people really enjoy me, and I'm able to have all of these really nice things and everything that I want. Those children are not understanding, because they can't grasp that when they're an adult, everything that is said and done when they're a child could be held against them or could be viewed upon even as they're an adult. And if they do or say anything extremely embarrassing, and it's something that maybe goes viral or that they're known for, and then they're an adult and they're constantly having to deal with an embarrassing moment from when they were a kid, that can be defeating to an adult at times. Or having parents release information about you and struggles that you have that you will maybe always deal with the stigma of. Even in 2021, we're still getting better. Society is still learning to accept all forms and walks of life. And there's still a lot of prejudice and discrimination that happens to people for all kinds of reasons, whether it's a mental health or a physical disability or a diagnosis that you have. Although we're coming step by step better, there's still a large majority of our society that is unable to understand and unable to accept some things. And that could potentially affect some of these children when they're older. Have a good vacation, just Britt. Thanks for stopping in. Until you're old enough to be embarrassed by something you posted 6 years ago, you don't have an idea of what it feels like to make that decision. Exactly. Hey, Tiny Dancer, how are you? Macaulay Boy, are you talking about Macaulay Culkin? I mean, there's a list of them that we could probably think of, especially some of my viewers who are older than me, before the Childhood Act even went, I can't remember the name of it, before that act was even put into place for studios and producers to follow. It's really sad. And I hope at some point YouTube can get to that place, because YouTube tries to, in my opinion, YouTube tries to kind of take the stance of putting in place for streaming services like Netflix or Hulu. Of course, not all the content on YouTube is genralized, is that a word? It's placed into genres like it is on TV, but you can find any kind of genre you want on YouTube. So I think YouTube's goal really is to come like the next streaming service. And when you're going to that, like, I think you kind of need to match streaming services guidelines and policies. And it's kind of crazy to me that in an age like today, that they aren't putting in place anything, despite all of the Micah Stoffers, the Philippes, the Onisions, the Dobby Vanities. Despite all of these, they are not putting in place more strict guidelines on creators. And I know creators have a lot of opinions and pushback about having more policies and rules to have to follow. But at the end of the day, some of them need to be put in place, in my opinion, especially when it surrounds minors. Because I think on YouTube, the age is 13. You have to be 13. I personally think 13 is still too young to take on a platform. Just got off work and are heading home. Well, be safe going home. The even thought of that gives you anxiety. Yeah, kids may agree to it and change their minds later, depending on them filming. I mean, I think it is too much pressure, especially as children get older. And, you know, you go through phases as you grow up. And some phases, I don't think, I don't know. It's just, my brain goes all over the place when I try talking about this, because I start to think in my head one way, and then I start to think of the opposing side and like go back and forth. At the end of the day, when it comes to family channels, I just wish that there were stricter guidelines. I wish platforms would put in place stricter guidelines to protect the kids, because at the end of the day, without those policies, we don't know the long-lasting effects that having kids on platforms, whether it's their own platform or a family platform, we don't really know what's going to come of that. We can assume based off of history on how child actors and actresses, how it played out for them. But to me, I think YouTube stuff can be even more strenuous than acting stuff. Because YouTube, some family channels, their family channels are literally all about the kids in every aspect of their life. And they tell everything about their children on their channels. And there's like no boundaries that they have that they won't cross. And I just can't fathom why that would be okay why that's okay. I can't understand that. You have a real problem with creators exploiting children involved with serious crimes against them. It's dangerous. Yeah, it can be. You've never been on TikTok. I mean, I can't say not to. I enjoy TikTok, but TikTok's algorithm primarily only pushes out once you're on it for a day or two, and it can tell what kind of content that you are interested in. It really does curate its algorithm to only pushing that kind of content. So the content that I don't really even get TikTok dances on my For You page. I primarily only get small business stuff. I get mental health stuff. I mean, just things that I have engaged with and like watched all the way through. I like it for the sense that it's rapid. The videos are usually only 1 minute to 3 minutes, so I enjoy that. But it also can be a wormhole because you don't realize how long you're on the app for. On YouTube, you open up a video and you see it's 20 minutes and you know you're going to be watching the video for 20 minutes unless you put it on quick speed. You know you're not going to be dedicating an hour or 2 hours unless the video is that long and you're making the choice to watch that. With TikTok, it's just so quick that you can end up, and I've done this, that's why I'm saying this, you can end up just scrolling through and not realizing how long you're sitting on the app. They do have little things that pop up after, I don't know after how much time, but that'll say, hold on, like you've been scrolling for too long, try and take a break. But I'm pretty sure it's still a lengthy amount of time, maybe an hour, hour and a half. I may be wrong with that. But that goes to show how I have gotten sucked into just scrolling and watching video after video and not even realizing how much time has gone by. So there's that. In other news, I'm sure most of you guys are aware, and I'm only going to mention this briefly. I don't want to go too much down because I don't really know. All I know is that Salts and Katie Joy both put out tweets, and it seems that the lawsuit against Without a Crystal Ball, they were in mediation for several days, and it seems that they have come to a conclusion. I don't know if we will get any details about that conclusion. A lot of people were questioning as to why, I guess Katie took down her Twitter and her second YouTube page, her vlogging channel, and a lot of content and tweets were deleted. I would assume it has something to do with decisions made in the mediation. So who knows if Katie or if it was a part of the mediation to not talk about it, but it seems that a conclusion has come. So I know some people are going to be cheerful and some people are going to feel that, you know, accountability wasn't had. For me, I hate that the accountability piece wasn't held. However, hopefully I don't think it will be a lesson to her. I think it's something that until she is held accountable, she's going to continue to engage in that kind of behavior. So for me, it's just a matter of time before maybe something else pops up. That's my opinion of the situation. And I know a lot of other people feel that she's not being held accountable, and I can understand that. But at the same time, I'm just glad it's over. I'm glad, you know, hopefully there won't be as much content made about her, because there's a lot of people that I thoroughly enjoy that I have stopped watching because I really don't want to consume content about her. I know she's problematic. I know her problematic behavior. I know what she does, and nothing's going to change. That's why I stopped covering her. I know it's not going to change. I think everybody has kind of come to that consensus who has addressed her problematic behavior, but there's just, I've stopped watching and engaging with a lot of channels because I don't want to be involved with it. I don't care enough. And so I'm hoping that with this chapter closing with her, that people kind of wrap up. Of course, she's always going to engage in some kind of really problematic stuff where people feel the need to cover. And I can understand that. And those can be videos and live streams that I just choose to not watch. But there's been a lot of creators that I've stepped away from just because I'm not watching and engaging in what she's doing and how she's acting. So I feel like it's pointless for me to be involved in their chats or their channels or their videos because I don't care. And I'm not trying to be like hurtful or offend anybody by that, but that's just how I've been feeling about it. And I hope everybody mean, if channels want to continue to cover her problematic behavior, I understand that. But I'm hoping that it kind of all dies down a little bit now that the big elephant in the room is kind of going away, so to speak. Yeah, Cheryl, I agree. And I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure personally, in my opinion, I do believe that if Katie continues to do things the way that she has been, it's only going to be a matter of time before she potentially is in the same situation. It'll be up to her to take this as a lesson and change the way she delivers her content. That is the problem, is the way she delivers her content. It's not necessarily the content itself. At times it can be, but the majority of the time on why people have issues with her and why she's problematic is her delivery of what she's trying to say and how she is delivering the news or whatever topic she's talking about. It all falls into how she words things, how she accuses people, things that she says that gets her in situations that end up in lawsuits. So it'll be up to her to make the change and move forward. Only time will tell. And if you want to stick on that ride, more power to you. I will not be, though. You thought constantly watching her and other creators talk about her was toxic. It did become toxic, which was a reason why I feel like a lot of creators kind of stepped back. You feel if people stop talking about her, it may help. Plus, not talking about her may bring the community back together and stop all this fighting. I mean, potentially. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of, Katie has caused a lot of discourse all over the platform. You stopped watching when creators go to KJ as a part of their topic. Do you mean, I don't want to misinterpret your comment. Do you mean like when it seems that creators fall back on talking about Katie for content? Is that what you mean by that? Because that comment could be interpreted a couple of different ways for me. But I mean, at the end of the day, every creator is going to do what they want to do and run their channels how they want to run their channels. And as viewers and subscribers, it's up to you guys if you want to stay subscribed or start subscribing to somebody based off of what you see from them. I'm trying to think. There was some other stuff that happened this week in big YouTube world. I mean, there's been an ongoing issue with Deaf Noodles, which I haven't 100% gotten down to really understanding how I feel. I think with most of what's going on with like Deaf Noodles, the journalists, H3, and Keem, it all kind of boils down to people's emotions getting involved and people being offended and feeling that they have to constantly defend themselves, and ends up being like, if you support one, you can't support the other. And it's all just a mess. Every creator, no matter how big or small you are, at some point has or is likely to make a mistake. And it seems that with those larger few creators, it's being, one mistake is like being made into being a gigantic mistake. But then where I have the issue with everybody is where the hypocrisy starts to come in and zero accountability is taken. I'm so sick of these apology, non-apologies happening. I mean, this has been happening for years, but in my opinion, if you don't genuinely mean an apology, then just ignore it. Deal with the backlash and ignore it, because you putting out a half-assed apology does nothing but cause people to criticize you more, because it's clear that you're not genuine about your apology. It's like, so you were trying to save face and give a blanketed statement to reduce the backlash, but in return, all it does is create more backlash, because people get more infuriated over the fact that you're not really taking accountability and you're not really acknowledging the problem. You're just putting out a blanketed statement to hope that maybe a few of the people that you offended will just look past whatever it is you're apologizing for. Hey, Christophan, how are you? Hey, Beauty Demon. Yeah, there is a whole lot of baggage with the Deaf Noodle stuff, Beauty Demon. You're 100% right. And I've watched a couple of videos. It's just such a deep rabbit hole. And it seems like when I start to watch videos, I almost get bored, because it seems and like uninterested to actually get down to the bottom of it, because a lot of it seems that it's just people not liking each other and causing like this weird inner, I don't know how to describe it. It's like people are just getting offended and they don't like a creator for whatever reason. I mean, you can dislike people, but I don't understand why, if you dislike people, it has to become this sudden public outrage to where your fans and your subscribers are feuding with one another on behalf of another creator. I really don't understand. I don't understand that. I don't understand why creators engage with that to allow it to continue. I just don't understand it. But that seems to be every time I start to watch a video, it's like, oh, well, this was said. And they all have valid points on criticism of Deaf Noodles, for sure. He's not my favorite person. At one point, I really enjoyed his content and everything he was doing. But there did come some points where some things were said and done that I was just like, this is extremely childish. Why are you engaging in this? Why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? Why are you being hypocritical? Like, there's no accountability. There's no self-awareness here. And I get done. And I'm just like, I don't even care at this point. I was going to do like a whole deep dive into trying figuring all of that out and doing a video about it. And I even at one point, like a month or two ago, put out a poll, and I was going to follow through, but it really got to a point where doing the research for it was just so mundane and so ridiculous, so immature. Even though there's valid points, I'm not trying to say the arguments aren't there, because they definitely are. But I try to always take a step back. Even if it's something that I'm close to, I always try to remove myself and give it a few days, give it a few weeks, a few months, whatever it may be, and then come back with a fresh set of eyes and see what's going on. And that's kind of what happened with that. And I was just like, this is just really ridiculous. Deaf Noodles was on John Swan's live stream where he took criticism, and it was very telling of the Denise in his debate with Augie RFC. You recommend those two videos. If you could send them to me, I mean, I'm open to watching them. This is getting ridiculous all over YouTube. I mean, to some degree, I think there's always going to be, I mean, YouTube commentary specifically thrives on drama. It really does. Drama, it's like known in the algorithm that drama does better than almost any other kind of content, unless you already have an established platform. Some creators get put on such a pedestal by their subscribers, they don't feel they need to really acknowledge their own shortcomings or faults. I mean, that could be part of it. I think when situations like that happen, I think it's a double-edged sword. I think some of it is the creator themselves, and I do think that subscribers and people who stan others can kind of fuel what the creator was already thinking about someone else or a situation, if that makes sense. I've got dog hair on my nose. Paisley is still blowing her coat. So that is one of my tasks to do later today, is to sit down and brush the rest of her out so I can stop struggling with having dog hair all over the place. Another thing that I saw, and I don't often talk about this creator because the creator and the content is extremely triggering, and that's Eugenia Cooney. I'm sure you guys know who she is, so I'm not even going to give any backstory. But what I am going to say is somebody who was, I would say, acquaintances. I wouldn't necessarily say that they were friends, came out and made a video addressing the concerns and saying that they no longer feel that they can passively support, and they acknowledge that they feel that at this point that's kind of what they are doing, and they don't know what to do because they feel like they are passively supporting her by liking her photos, by watching her content, by, you know, any of that. And he was very genuine and very heartfelt in his video, and it has sparked quite a bit. And what was shocking to me was Eugenia actually acknowledged the video, and she didn't she was very hesitant in how it was addressed. I've seen clips from the Twitch stream that she did when this was brought up, and she didn't drag him, which with every other creator who has tried to bring awareness or acknowledge the very obvious concern there, she always will backhand and sometimes openly say that they're mean or whatever. She did that to Jaclyn Glenn. She even went at Sloan there for a little while when Sloan was covering her. Other creators who were also involved with the Jaclyn Glenn stuff a couple of years ago, anytime a video is kind of made about her, she takes it as hate and trolling, even though that's not the creator's intentions when they're talking about their concerns with her. But I was shocked that she was appreciative of his video. However, she continued to gaslight her entire audience because they were asking about specific things that were said by him, and all she would continually address is, I like that he was nice. I like that the video was nice. I heard what he said. I appreciate his concern. And then someone would address a particular part about what's actually going on, what everybody can see is going on. And she'll be like, well, yeah, I get that, but I'm fine, guys. And chuckle it off. And at some point, I think a lot of the outrage with her is she won't just openly state what is happening. I know personally that is a lot of my concern, is she plays off. It is so visually evident what is happening. Everybody knows what is happening, but she refuses to at least acknowledge it. And that's the problem. For me, anyways, that is the problem, that she will not just acknowledge, hey, this is what I'm going through. If it's triggering, please don't watch. Please don't try to live up to my body image. Having some kind of caveat. She is a grown woman. She knows what she is doing. There are plenty of videos showing clips of her body checking, and that is pretty much all her content is. There's been some controversy and questions lately about a recent shoe video she did with people having a conspiracy theory that maybe she is getting donations for certain kinds of things to happen in her live streams or in her videos. And I don't necessarily think it's far off to have that kind of controversy if you really look at her content and how she behaves and what she does. So that was an interesting thing. I know a lot of people have covered it and have talked about it. And it's something that I've always kind of watched this unfold, just like the Onision stuff. I've been watching all of this drama and stuff go on for years, and it's just content that I haven't sat down to film. But I mean, again, at some point, I think platforms need to try to step in. But as Xylee was saying, even about the Onision stuff, it becomes a slippery slope for the platform. And I can agree with that and identify that as well. But at some point, you have to hold your audience, which is how you end up getting paid at the end of the day, is because people are watching it. You have to understand that allowing some of these people and things to be happening on your platform is damaging to a large majority of people who actually engage in it, whether they realize it or YouTube realizes it or not. So sorry I went on a rant. That was something that I wanted to mention. Some creators get put, oh, I already read that. Side note, you learned last week that there's a debate about where YouTube commentary content is going in academic literature. They're as confused as we are. I mean, that's not surprising. And the thing is with commentary content and commentary channels, everybody has, it appears to me that everybody has their own definition between commentary, drama, and T channels, because they all slightly intertwine. So it's like, where's the division there? She responds to that just like I thought she would. So that's kind. It's not an issue though. Yeah, the shoe video was. I shouldn't chuckle, but like I chuckle because it's like so unbelievable to me. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, didn't she try to say she didn't know that happened? You edited maybe she doesn't edit her own videos. Maybe she outsources her editing, which a lot of larger creators do outsource their production. Maybe that's the case, but I would assume any production or editor would say, hey, your underwear are being flaunted throughout this entire video. Are you okay with that? I mean, and a lot of criticism is why choose to shoot that stuff, like a shoe haul, the way she chose to shoot her shoe haul, like film it, is what I mean by shooting. What did she? That's awkward. I've seen so many creators do shoe hauls, even though I'm someone who's not interested in shoes. It's just pastime content sometimes that comes up. And they're always usually just have the camera angled down and can stand up and really show the different aspects of the shoes. Sitting down and like lifting up your legs like that is just very strange, very awkward. And you end up revealing yourself in doing so. And you don't think that's a problem, but you have a young audience. So despite the visual concern everybody has and has concerns about, there's also the concern that you have young people watching you. They probably should not be exposed to your undergarments. I mean, the heck? What? And people's videos who don't have anywhere near that close of concerning body image and skin showing will get flagged for nudity when there is actually no nudity in their video. But something like that can be up and can be monetized, and there's no issue with it. That goes to show that YouTube caters to their larger money-making creators. It's been something that has been talked about by a lot of different channels over the years, is how there seems to be an unfair balance when it comes to content being breaking community guidelines or not. Yeah, I don't know if she has an editor. I'm just trying to like reach out on the branch that maybe she doesn't edit her own stuff. Melissa, I can get that argument that you think she knows if she admits she's aware of the problem, she would get criticism over continuing to body check, etc. If she denies it, she can avoid being more accountable. But at this point, I don't necessarily think that would happen. I think the problem is if she were to openly acknowledge, like, what she is struggling with, she would lose respect from so many people. I don't necessarily even think she'd get backlash, because I think all the creators who have voiced concern, who has made content about her, would offer help and would offer some kind of assistance in any way. I think most of the creators who cover her genuinely care to some degree. Do some probably not care and are just doing it for the content? I mean, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen, because that happens in every nook and cranny of YouTube. But I think most people genuinely are concerned and find it problematic and just want her to get help. But at the same time, like, you can't force anyone to get help, but at least acknowledging that she knows it's happening, I feel will cause people to be upset with her, will cause people who maybe engage with her, stop engaging with her, for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is I think some people watch her content, I don't want to call it hate watching, but they're watching just to see the progression and the curiosity aspect. I think there's a lot of that with like Amberlynn Reed and Chantal and creators like that. And it's like with those channels, it's like the opposite spectrum is occurring. And people, I don't know how I want to verbalize that. But at the end of the day, there are people who are watching just because they want to see what happens. And I feel like if she were to acknowledge it, some of those people would fall off because they got what they wanted. They wanted her to acknowledge that there's a problem. But her acknowledging it is the first step. And she never, from what I have known, and please correct me if I'm wrong, openly said that this is what I struggle with. Of course, it's talked about and it's hinted at in the video I did about Katie Moore and her coverage with the video that they did. Even then, she did not say what she was struggling with. I don't think she has ever openly said, this is something I deal with. She always insinuates. And when you have a young audience, they may not be aware or they may not understand what is being implied. If people don't see the body checking and other stuff in streams as an issue, you're bothered. And some people don't even understand what body checking is. So in that it is a thing that happens. She wore I'm always kind of shocked at the clothing she chooses to wear, but it plays into it. Like, she's not innocent. Is she a sweet girl? Does she come off sweet? Yes, she does. And I genuinely think she's probably a nice girl. However, at some point we have to identify she's a 26-year-old woman. She's fully grown. She knows these videos are made about her. She had the experience with going to the treatment facility once. Like, she knows that this is a problem. She knows it's a concern. She knows it's triggering. She sees all of this content. It gets in her Twitch streams. Half of the comments are about the people's concerns and wanting her to get help. She knows what is happening, and she doesn't care to even slightly protect the people who are triggered by covering herself up a little bit more. It's astounding to me. So at some degree, like, she has to be willing to accept and take the accountability that people give her criticism, because you are engaging in something very dangerous and very scary. You saw it through Sloan. Yeah, I watched a lot of Sloan's videos about that whole situation. When Shane filmed with her, she didn't exactly come out and say it. Exactly. She's never actually come out and said it. It's always implied by whoever is filming with her. She's never actually said, I struggle with this, or I was sent here because of this. She was always like, she gaslights and says, because of what I look like. Like, she gaslight, and that's not quoting. It's just an example. She says things very similar to that are gaslighting. She says, well, because of what's going on. Like, she won't actually say and acknowledge it. She will not acknowledge it. And my question is, does she actually acknowledge it in real life? Like in real life, is she open with her friends to say, I struggle with this, or say, I deal with this? Or is she the same way in real life about her ED as she is on camera, where she is in total denial? Yeah, I agree with that, Melissa. I think if she were to acknowledge it and not follow through to seek help, people would offer to get the help for her, to tell her where to go, offer resources and things like that. And I think they would expect that because she acknowledges it, that she's going to try and no longer struggle with it. But that's not necessarily going to happen. I mean, the first step is just acknowledging that she has a problem. People don't understand that. And I can see where you're saying people would probably get frustrated and maybe not feel that they're actually making any progress if only acknowledgement happens and no follow through. Yeah, I find it weird that she dresses provocative too. I mean, do what you want, but when the whole internet has a concern with your appearance and you just want to continue to flaunt it and body check is weird. It logically just doesn't make sense to me, except for the fact that she clearly is aware of what she's doing and she's just not caring. And I don't want to speak poorly about her, but that is disgusting. If you know people have this concern, if you know you are potentially triggering people, which there was a tweet about a month ago where somebody said that they actually relapsed because of seeing her content and seeing how she was. Or someone thinking that they were overweight because of her body image. When you have young adults, teenagers going on public platforms and tweeting this out, you would think that you would try to not have that happen, have people feel that way. And she knows, like at some point you can't say she's not. At this point in time, I would put money on it that you cannot say she is not aware of what's happening and what her image is causing to others. It is so public. So many people talk about it. So many people cover it that there's no way she is unaware. And at the end of the day, to me, that says that she just doesn't care. And that to me takes away your nice person persona. Because if you don't care about your audience that pays you at the end of the day, if you are fine with knowing that you are potentially putting them in a dangerous situation and you're not taking any, and I mean any, steps to prevent that from happening, you're not a nice person. There's some, I don't want to say evil, but there's some negative aspects playing there. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about. And I know that happened a couple of weeks ago. But I forgot to talk about it the week it happened. Trying to think, is there any other? I can't remember if there's any other stuff that's happened that I wanted to talk to you guys about, that I had planned to talk to you guys about. Yeah, it's sad. It really is a sad situation. And clearly she's struggling with something. So I don't like to say super negative, condescending things like that. But at some point we have to face reality and stop sugarcoating things for these creators. So the Jen Loves review stuff, I will be 100% honest. I'm not even really aware of everything that's gone on and has gone on. Xylee did a stream and I was unaware. Jen Loves Reviews is somebody who I followed years ago because I liked her breakdowns of products, like multiple products, breaking down the ingredient list, saying her experience. I thought that was really interesting content and I really enjoyed it for a while. I ended up growing out of watching that kind of content. And when that happened, I stopped following her, because if I'm not watching your content, I'm going to unfollow because I'm not going to watch it. So I stopped following her. So I did not know all of this stuff was happening. I still watch beauty YouTube. So I did see where she had a collab, and I did see the concerning photos going around about the owner of Ofra. But I know she put out a non-apology apology, a PR stunt, essentially, because of how Xylee covered it. But I don't know enough about that to really talk about it. Yes, we are 100% going to Vegas. Our trip is in June. We'll be there for 4 days, I think. That's on the 9th. All right. Is there anything that you guys saw that you guys want me to talk about, if I have any opinion or know what you're referring to? We're going to be staying at the Paris Hotel or casino, hotel and casino. That's where we're staying. So it'll be fun because we're staying right on the strip, and we'll be there for, I think we leave on Sunday. I might be wrong about that. We're there for the weekend, and then we'll drive back. And then once we're at my house, she's going to stay with me for almost a week. And then she's going to go back to Florida. Yeah, I think we'll have fun too. It'll be the first time that her and I have had a vacation, just the two of us. Like, we've done family vacations and stuff like that, but we've not, just her and I, like a mother-daughter trip, we've never had one. So it'll be fun. Especially since it's been a year and a half since I've seen her by the time she'll get here. I don't feel comfortable answering how long the drive is. No offense. Just for safety reasons, I don't feel comfortable saying how far the drive will be. But you guys will probably get a couple of vlog style driving videos during that time, rather than sit down videos, so I can make content to upload for the week that she's here. And I still have to ask her if she would be comfortable to be on camera, or if she'd be comfortable having a conversation about things and her be off of camera, but you guys can hear her. I have to ask her that. You love the Paris, but you haven't stayed there. When I was, how old was I? I was 20. I wasn't quite 21. My mom, my sister, and my younger brother and I stayed in Vegas. It was like a really nice treat that we had. I don't remember why. We did a whole lot this trip. We did the Hoover Dam. We did a plane flight in the Grand Canyon. We did all kinds of stuff on this trip. And we stayed at the Bellagio. But I wasn't of age. I was 20. I wasn't able to gamble. I couldn't drink. So, I mean, it was very much a family vacation in Vegas. So it'll be nice to go, just her and I, and, you know, live it up, so to speak. Fill up a quarter of a tank. There's areas that don't have many gas stations. I appreciate that. I mean, the Vegas Strip is very much city. It's super busy. I've been there before. It's super busy. Busy. Did I say busy or did I say a different word? There was someone else who had left a comment and I wanted to. Double-decker buses freak me out. Am I the only one? I mean, I've been on them before and I know that they're not dangerous, but they just make me nervous. Oh, you guys are planning a trip in September. That will be fun. You used to live there and drove back and forth to Salt Lake City. I mean, good thing is it's all interstate driving. So, all right, there was a question that was more of a mental health question for a family member. I haven't seen that person pop in, so I don't want to address that one. Does anybody else have anything that they want me to talk about? Otherwise, I am going to hop off of here. Phone went off, sorry. Just give you guys a couple of minutes in case there's anything you wanted to chat about or anything you guys saw that piqued your interest. It's been an interesting morning. It will fill me in later. Okay. I clearly have probably missed something, but I mean, what else is new? I'm usually one of the last few to know of things happening. Gas is about $1 higher in most places too. I mean, that's kind of common with any like high trafficked areas. Alrighty, it doesn't seem that anybody has any other YouTube stuff that you guys want to chat about or hear my opinion about. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, everybody does. Please be safe. Please enjoy the long weekend. If you're going to participate in any adult activities, make sure you are being safe. And if you are having any adult beverages, not to drive. Oftentimes, depending on where you're at with holidays like this, they will typically have free driving services. So always keep that in mind. There's always Uber. There's always alternative ways. Please don't get behind the wheel if you've had anything to drink. Please be safe. No long weekend where you're at, Sue. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I hope you guys all have a good weekend, that you guys all are able to do something fun, even if you're stuck indoors, that you're able to get out and about and at least go somewhere where maybe you can do something indoors. But with all of that being said, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you guys for being here. And I will see you guys on Monday. I am going to have to go back and filter through. I know I've had some suggestions over the last couple of weeks for open discussion topics on Monday, and I'm going to go back and try to find those so I can include them in the poll. So the poll may not be up until tomorrow because I do not 100% remember where all those comments were. So I've got to go do some digging, but I appreciate you guys. Please participate in the poll if you like open night discussion on Mondays, and I will see you then. Otherwise, bye guys.